The Honorable Delima.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is actually supplementary or complementary to the manifestation made or the opinion made by the Honorable Representative Barbers. The ultimate general ground, betrayal of public trust. The specific allegation is alleged drug addiction of the President. And again, I would point out to certain sub-allegations and refute their insufficiency. Allegation number one, sub-allegation number one, there are serious accusations that PBBM is a drug addict. The offense alluded for this ground is drug addiction. Stating that there are accusations do not constitute factual allegations of the addiction. This ground presupposes that because PBBM is an addict or an alleged addict, he is unfit to be president. However, unfitness per se is not a ground for impeachment. And even when considered as constituting basis for betrayal of public trust, the statements in this ground do not sufficiently establish allegations on how specific presidential acts were impaired by PBBM's addiction, assuming the addiction to be true. Second sub-allegation, Senator Amy, the sister, admitted or alleged or announced that PBBM is a drug addict. Again, this is not a factual allegation, but a conclusion that because Senator Amy admitted or announced that PBBM is an addict, then he must be an addict. The most that can be made out of this ground is that there was betrayal of the public trust because of PBBM's failure to disclose his addiction. However, the recital of allegations to this ground is still insufficient in terms of showing the nexus. Kasi yun po ang importante. The nexus between the facts raised or alleged and betrayal of public trust. Public accusations of PBBM's addiction, Senator Imy's claim of PBBM's addiction, PBBM's refusal to submit to a drug test, and his silence on accusations of being an addict still do not constitute the factual allegations necessary to satisfy the legal exercise in the formulation of causes of action that, assuming that they were all true, they establish betrayal of trust. Another sub-allegation is the PBBM is a drug addict because he refuses to submit to a drug test. Again, this is a conclusion and not a factual allegation. Nasabi ko na rin po, that kind of an allegation is still insufficient. The fact that he refuses to submit to a drug test. Another is by being silent. Sabi sa complaint. By being silent on his drug addiction, PBBM betrayed the public trust. For me, Madam Chair, this is a non sequitur conclusion and not a factual allegation. Because the ground must not only state a categorical allegation that PBBM is a drug addict and that this impairs the performance of his mandate, but must also include a recital of the alleged acts, events, and incidents that support the same. How do they say, or how do they know, or why do they claim that it impairs his judgment? So that's again my view. Again, this second ground is insufficient in substance. I so submit. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Manifestation is noted by the committee. The Honorable Suntay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the second ground, alleged unfitness due to drug addiction, President Marcos is alleged to be a long-time user of illegal drugs. Drug use allegedly renders him manifestly unfit to discharge his presidential powers. The evidence presented were public statements attributed to Senator Amy Marcos, news articles, opinion commentaries, and medical articles on the effect of cocaine use. Thus, the legal theory asserted is that drug addiction impaired his judgment to discharge his presidential duties. However, this is a general conclusion because there was actually no narration of which of the presidential actions or judgment was impaired due to the alleged drug addiction. There was also no medical evidence presented, no drug test results. So the allegations were merely limited. The evidence of drug use were merely limited to media reporting and political statements made by Senator Amy Marcos. In Philippine impeachment jurisprudence, it has never recognized personal health allegations without proof of impeachable offense, of the impeachable offense. And with regards to the second complaint, there were actually no general, there were actually no evidence, actual evidence presented to justify the allegations.
You're referring to the second offense?
Yes, with regards to the second offense.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Honorable Garbin first, then Honorable Po. Honorable Garbin, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the alleged drug addiction and moral unfitness, the key factual allegations by the complainants were the President is accused of being a long-time user of illegal drugs, including cocaine, and central reliance is placed on public statements by Senator Amy Marcos, the President's sister, alleging or acknowledging his alleged decades-long struggle with illegal drug use. And the legal framing of the complainant is that not framed on any criminal accusation, and it is used to support the moral unfitness, the impaired judgment, and the betrayal of public trust. The allegation that the President is a drug addict is insufficient in substance. It is unsupported by competent evidence, such as medical findings, sworn admissions, or official investigation on record, and rests largely on hearsay and public speculation. Absent verified and authoritative proof showing impairment in office or misconduct indirectly related to the exercise of presidential functions, such allegation cannot establish impeachable offense and should not be given weight, Madam Chair. Thank you.
The manifestation is noted. We will be limiting the manifestations and comments with respect to the second offense to the two last members. These are Kong Po and Kong Lorden Suwan. We encourage the other members to participate in the discussion of the succeeding offenses.
Madam Chair, can you add me for the second charge? Very short
All right.
manifestation.
Now we recognize the Honorable Po.
I'll make mine as quick as possible so that we can accommodate Kong Rufus. So with regards to my manifestation, Madam Chair, what we've established through everyone who has manifested ahead of me is that there's no record of illegal drug abuse. That is clear. What we know for a fact and what is actually on record is that on November 2021, there was a negative drug test that was attested to at St. Luke's. And further, on May 2024, there was actually a Senate hearing in which one drug analyst, Jeresa Reyes, and laboratory head, Dr. Cecilia Lim, confirmed that the President tested negative specifically for cocaine. So while there is no existing record of any drug abuse, the President has on 2 occasions proven that he is not a drug user. I submit that to the record so that we can make a objective decision on the substance of the second ground.
The manifestation is noted. The Honorable Lorden Suwan.
Madam Chair, this is my manifestation. So there is an allegation in the complaint that there was an admission by Senator Amy Marcos that the president used drugs. However, this admission cannot be considered because of Rule 7, Section 17 of our own House rules regarding impeachment, which states that the rules of court apply suppletorily. We should consider Rule 130, Section 28 of the Rules of Court regarding the res inter alios acta rule, which merely states that an act of one cannot prejudice another, meaning that the so-called admission of Senator Amy cannot prejudice the President, which means that the so-called admission has become irrelevant and cannot be considered as one of the bases for sustaining sufficiency in substance.
Our last committee members to comment on this are the Honorable Rodriguez and then Honorable Vice Chair Dumogan. We encourage the rest of the members to participate in deliberating the succeeding other offenses. The Honorable Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a clear example of not a recital of facts, but a conclusion of fact not based on any evidence. There is no evidence that the President is using drugs. Only statements of some persons. And then, this particular allegation, being a mere conclusion, does not connect to any of the 6 grounds of impeachable offenses. And so therefore, clearly, this particular second act complained of has certainly it's not sufficient in substance. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. The manifestation is noted. Vice Chair Dumogan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In addition to what already been said, which I fully agree, reliance on newspaper clippings is not sufficient. The Supreme Court in Estrada versus Desierto had noted that newspaper reports cannot prove the truth of their contents and generally considered as hearsay. So, looking at all the arguments, because as we said, there's no narration of facts, the arguments will not somewhat come out with a legal conclusion that the President violated a culpable violation of the Constitution, being a drug addict.
Thank you, Vice Chair Dumogan. The Honorable Padiernos will be the last speaker on the second offense.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was already preparing for the next one, but
Would you like to
I
speak?
just wanted to join the Honorable Barbers in stating that the impeachment cannot proceed on rumor or hearsay. So that is very clear under the rules. And as mentioned by the Honorable Suwan, the res inter alios acta rule apply. So, and in addition, personal allegations unsupported by medical or judicial findings do not constitute the impeachable offense of betrayal of public trust. That's it, Madam Chair. Thank you.
That ends our discussion on the second offense.